Good evening. This is another filler video which I wanted to make to Cowboy Dog. I actually wanted to make this video 2 years ago when Cowboy Dog was still streaming the first time around before she took a temporary retirement. But since I wanted to showcase some Turkish products that theoretically have an expiry date, I thought I should make this video now before I get mood poisoning. If we were to leave feminism aside for a moment, it has always been assumed that boys are more interested in cars than girls. If you were to ask a small boy today where does he get his car pictures, he would look at you like as if you were a boomer or an unk. But before the widespread of the internet, the car pictures were not so easy to find. There were, of course, car magazines, but why would a kid buy a magazine? Because the magazine was actually largely filled with text with only occasional picture. But in the late 80s, a Turkish company called Kent started to manufacture individually packaged and sold pieces of chewing gum. This is a piece of turbo chewing gum produced in the modern day, but when it started production in 1989, those chewing gums became so popular that in their peak in the early and mid 90s, Kent also produced chewing gum with pictures of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, tiny comic strips of Donald Trump, Donald Duck, of course, sorry, and even pictures of Barbie, because Barbie was new and exciting for for children who didn't necessarily have access to Western toys. If you wanted to know how this chewing gum business worked and haven't figured out yet, then it's quite simple. You open up the chewing gum and, well, you don't have to eat the chewing gum, but the papers are the actual actual value, and the top wrapper you might discard if you want, but the real value is the picture here. And as you can, it probably doesn't show up, but as you can see, this is a modern day Chevrolet Corvette, and basically these car pictures are numbered, and I guess the first run was 200 pictures, so you had to collect all 200, or you were incentivized to collect all 200, and children would then exchange those pictures either on the playground or in school times during recess. And if you didn't have uh, pictures to exchange, some kids began to accept money, which, of course, if you ask for more than the price of the chewing gum, you could make a profit. Actually, those chewing gums, they still actually retain one aspect of the original chewing gum, which is that the taste goes away rather quickly. Oh, this is what I wanted to show you. Not this specific car, but this is a Kia Optima. which is actually an interesting point I wanted to make. See, in the late 80s, early 90s, when the turbo chewing gum was at its peak, it was understood that what you get from the chewing gum, the picture I mean, would be a supercar. But with the advancement in technology nowadays, the car market is so oversaturated with high performance cars that the term supercar isn't even used. And most modern cars, maybe not the Kia Optima, but most modern cars are able to outperform supercars from the 80s and 90s, which actually, interestingly enough, reflects in the sticker in the car pictures you can get from the turbo chewing gum. Since look, the car I just got is the Opel. Sorry, Opel Insignia, which is actually a, well, you wouldn't call it a supercar, but if you were to look at the few stats that have been showcased here, the high speed of the Opel Insignia is actually 280 kilometers an hour, which was pretty quick for a high-end sports car in the late 80s and in the 90s, which is actually kind of sad that an average city car could outperform the cars that were once regarded as top-end supercars. For a little bit of unimportant information, I'm not sure whether the company Kent actually closed down or what happened, but actually either the company Kent was bought by another company or the license to produce the turbo chewing gum was acquired by another company, because people like me get nostalgic for turbo chewing gum and want to have a chewing gum for this for the sake of nostalgia. Now this picture is a Lotus Elise, which actually is pretty good because Lotus Elise is it's technically a race car, and thus quite fitting to the turbo legacy, because one of the cars that I really liked in the 80s and early 90s was Lotus Esprit. Esprit, I guess, is the name. And the Lotus Esprit was a, not quite supercar, but it was a very high-end sports car. And I actually often chose this as my car of choice in the second installment of Need for Speed. And now that my cat has decided to hoard all the chewing gum, and I was pretty much done with this video anyway, I guess peace.
You don't ever come here to the faraway land. I only dream you out there